Recording. All right,
Okay.
let's go. So, Isaac, my friend, introduce yourself. Tell everyone where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm Isaac Chance. I'm from Australia, but I'm living in Poland at the moment. And we met Ilya in Poland maybe 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And then we met again in Poland, I think 1.5 years after that. So
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
yeah.
So take it away, Isaac, and and then I will be here to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, perfect. So I was just wondering if you could possibly tell me a little bit about your personal experience as an immigrant, because I know personally you have a very interesting family background. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I immigrated to Canada in 2006 with my parents and my siblings. We immigrated from Ghana, and it was a very complicated process because immigrating with a family is really hard. Immigrating by yourself is already challenging as it is, but I was like 9 years old, and then my other siblings were like 3 and like 14, and then one of my siblings was critically ill, so it was like we had to immigrate, and if we didn't immigrate, one of my siblings would have died because like it was a really we needed to do a surgery that was not open to every country, and Canada was one of the countries where my brother could get this surgery, so Canada had to accept us for my brother
Okay.
to live basically. So
I can't imagine how stressful that would have been for your parents at that time. Or
yeah, it was intense. It was intense.
how old were you when you were immigrated to Canada?
So I was 8.5. I was turning 9. We immigrated in June. So we immigrated in the summer, which is smart because coming from Central Africa, we have a very hot climate, and Canada
Hmm.
is typically very cold. So immigrating in winter was not an option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you could tell me some of the personal struggles you found growing up in Canada.
Yeah, so once we arrived in Canada, it created a whole new challenge because the process of immigration is already hard enough because there are a lot of tests you have to do, there's medical examinations you must take, and then you need to study the country. You need to learn the customs, how they work, all the rules that you have to follow. Even if you're a child, you have your own set of rules that you kind of have to understand. It's like this is what you say, this is what you don't say, this is how you act in school, and all of these things. And then when you arrive, you have a whole new system that's, for me, the system is like almost opposite to what I'm used to. And even though I was a child, I still had to learn how life works in Canada, and their education system was completely backwards to me. And even though I went to school in Ghana and Ivory Coast,
Okay.
Ghana is an English speaking country, so the language barrier wasn't an issue for me. But they had a
Mhm.
different way of speaking, and I couldn't understand them, and their whole education was completely different. So it's as if I had to learn everything from scratch, and including how to actually live because I didn't know where anything was. I had
Mhm.
nobody except my siblings and my parents, and people were not very accepting to us as we arrived, and people didn't really understand the concept of immigration and that people come from other countries to start a new life. So we were not really integrated well. We were kind of like, you're outcasted from the beginning because you're different and you don't sound the same, you don't have the same culture. And of course, like, though people talk about certain things and we have no idea because we've never um, lived their experiences. So it was like so many more issues that came with that. I think some of
Okay.
how things were at the beginning when I immigrated to Canada, it was more difficult for my parents for sure because as an adult you go through so many more challenges trying to find a job and having your degree not being accepted as valid because Canada, they have different regulations, so you may have been a doctor where you came from, and then once you get to your new country, they're like, sorry, but this is not valid here, you must go back to school and take exams. So imagine that when you come and you can't take your job. You have to start over.
Yeah, for sure. And your parents faced these sorts of issues with your parents face these issues with their lines of work when they came to Canada?
Yes, so my mother, she went to school for physiotherapy and she was a nurse and all of this. And then my father, he was working in IT, I believe. And when they arrived, they were basically told, look, we get that you went to school and you have all of this, but you need to go and take some examinations and basically go back to school just so we can deem you as credible in
Okay.
Canada. Yeah. Basically, my parents' experience. And I was really sad for them because they've worked so hard before and they've done so much just to get there. And then
Yeah.
now getting told, sorry, you kind of have to do now this, and this.
Hmm.
It's added stress and pressure. And they have to figure out how to put us into school and all of these things.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, with the addition of trying to raise a family at the same time, I can imagine that that would have been uh, an enormous challenge.
Yeah, yeah, it was a mess, and I'm really really proud of them for the amount of hustle that they put in and
Hmm.
be able to get us running because three children is a lot,
Hmm.
and we were very independent, so thank goodness for that. But they had to go looking for jobs, they had to take classes, and then they had to kind of I think my mom even had to go and take an English class, even though she knew English and she was fine. Like it's part of their prerequisites that they were asked to do, were to just
Okay.
go and just take these basic courses as if she's a college student, and then at the same time take care of us, make sure that we're good, and then
Hmm.
look for a job, get a job while going to school, while taking care of us, all at the same time. And then still they're trying to understand how the customs of the country and province that they're in works. So
Hmm.
meanwhile, us children, we have to be left on our own, fend for ourselves because our parents are so busy. So we are
Hmm.
just there trying to understand how everything works, and the fact that we lost all of our friends and we have nothing but each other, and we're
Yeah.
just kind of like lost kids trying to find our way. And so it was just a struggle, but it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Okay. I'm glad you have such a positive outlook on on this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I feel like I don't have a choice but to just focus on the positives that came from it. And we kind of knew what we were signing up for when we immigrated. We're like, it's not going to be easy. Things are going to get rough very quickly. For me as a kid, I was like, ooh, we're going to like Wonderland or Paradise. It's going to be so much fun. Yay. Because that's all you really think about. And you just hear about a new cool place and you just get excited. But at the
Mhm.
same time, we were kind of prepped to go into it like this is gonna be difficult and it's gonna be a challenge. But my family is already used to challenges like this. We had moved plenty before immigrating, but it's different when you're moving country to country in your own region where a lot of these countries are similar, so it wasn't the same. But
Okay.
yeah, so
So you mentioned that you were in contact with other people that had immigrated to Canada. Was that mostly who you socialized with as a kid, or?
Yeah. So when I first came, I was just first looking for the other black people that I could find. Because imagine you're a kid who his whole life prior to moving, the only people you saw looked just like you. And then you move somewhere and nobody looks like you or sounds like you or speaks the same language because I spoke French as a first language. And so I came, and my first criteria, which is automatic, is you go towards people that you feel comfortable with. If they look like you, you're gonna just be drawn to them. So, but there was only one other black person in the entire school, and I went to go to them, and they spoke with me. And then the other people that just looked different, they were just the nicest ones to me. So
Mhm.
then we just started talking because their families came from different countries. Maybe they themselves were not immigrants, but their parents were and their grandparents. So they were already taught to accept everyone, be nice, and just try to like bring people in and not seclude and keep people like outcasted, which is how I felt by some of the other kids. And these kids, the majority were Canadian, were the ones that just didn't really care to integrate. They were just nice because they felt that they had to be, not really, it wasn't like a natural like I'm just nice and I want to accept you. They would actually make fun of me, and I'm just like, why are you making fun of me? Like, and then they would try to um, talk to me as if